2, 1. Are we on? I think we're on.
We're on, big guy.
All right. This is AVHD Podcast coming to you every single Thursday on Spotify, YouTube, Anchor.fm, and we live stream live on Bearcast Media. So today we're going to have a really special guest talk to us about all things, really anything he wants to. He has a very vast background, games, movie, but a lot of games because that's what a lot of us here are passionate about. Joined by the regular crew and some friends. We got Logan and Allison in the building. What's going on, guys?
What's going on, Hunter?
Dude.
How you been doing this week, man?
Dude,
I've been stupid busy.
I've been stupid busy too, but I had a wonderful night last night. I watched Blade Runner 2049 for the first time.
Yeah, I remember you were pretty blown away by that, weren't you?
Dude, I was really big on that movie. I think it might be the prettiest movie of the 2010s, to be quite honest. So I was floored by that.
Have you seen Mad Max Fury Road?
Oh,
I have.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's
And
up there too.
You're saying Blade Runner 2049 is superior?
In terms of coloring, I think it might be for me. That for me, in terms of the 2010s, it's like Mad Max Fury Road, Life of Pi, La La Land, and Blade Runner just kind of blew me away. And a lot of that, though, and this is Evan I'm talking to, by the way, so hi, Evan. I don't know if it's, I think it might be, some of that's the production design. You know what I mean? Like the production design of Blade Runner 2049 is just blew me away. So mixed with Roger Deakins kind of flexing his magic was pretty crazy. And then, hello, Allison. You seem quiet today. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. I had 2 exams today, so.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but I'm ready to come back. I'm going to wake up.
Yeah, you good?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'll be fine.
And then we have Emma here. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I just shoved her into the mic. You gotta get real up close and personal.
Real up close. All right, I'm here. How are you?
I'm great. I'm fantastic. So
I'm excited to see Portrait of a Lady on Fire later today.
yeah, have you seen that yet, Evan? Have you seen Portrait of a Lady on Fire?
I told you I have a 3-year-old and a newborn.
Yeah. You saw Sonic. You saw a little bit of Sonic.
We saw a little bit of Sonic. That's the last time I've entered a movie theater, and I was punished for it again because we had to leave half hour through. But like I said, I could already predict what was going to happen from the film for the first 30 minutes, so I felt like I could already write the rest of the film in my head.
I'm hearing good things about Sonic though from Emma
It's
because she told me to see it.
It's a fun film.
I did
That's
enjoy
cool.
the Sonic movie. I thought it was good, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Evan, I kind of want to let you introduce yourself and give a little, overview on your background. Maybe, we met each other through coursework. I took a class of his about, video game studies, just a scholarly approach to just everything video games, design, history, and it's been a fascinating ordeal for me. So I thought it would be great to not only have you on and talk about your background because it's fascinating, but to maybe play some games, little tabletop role-playing games would be fun. So take it away, Evan. Let's hear what you're all about.
Okay. Well, I'm Dr. Evan Torner. I'm here at UC. Well, I've been here at UC for 5 years, so I'm on my year 6. I'm up for tenure in the German Studies department. So if we want to talk German or be involved with German scholarship, we can do that. But I was also hired because I have a secondary interest also in games and game production. So my I guess my story is I grew up in Iowa. There's not a lot to do in Iowa, so we we frequented the hobby shop in about 1991. I was in a hobby shop and spotted a copy of the old TSR Marvel Superheroes Advanced set on the shelf. And I thought, what's this? I didn't know anything about Marvel superheroes, and I thought this was just a normal board game. And I opened this thing up, and it's this massive role-playing game. And so I get a few of my friends from the after-school program to sit around and create characters. And famously, there was one person who wanted to play the Hulk, and one of them wanted to play Silver Surfer, and one of them wanted to play J. Jonah Jameson. So
Spider-Man.
Right. It's almost immediately I got introduced to what game balance is.
Yeah.
And we played the old Star Wars D6 RPG for a while with that group by Bill Slavichek, and that's important because almost everything you know about the Star Wars expanded universe, down to the fact that those people with the weird tails out of their heads are called Twi'leks, and all of those details, they were all created by the role-playing game.
No way, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is really cool.
And so there's this incredible generative period in the late 80s, early 90s where Gary Gygax has been rejected from TSR, and they go very family friendly, and there's all kinds of very interesting design experimentation in that role-playing game company that led me to role-playing games. And Dungeons and Dragons was like the 5th game I played, and it wasn't very good. I didn't think very
at the
highly
time, like when it launched, or like just back.
No, I
when
mean,
you
know,
first...
it launched in 1974, so
okay,
predates
yeah.
me.
So
by,
definitely predates you, yeah.
Yeah, but I got the D&D like box set from 1990, which has this big red dragon on it, and we thought it looked cool, but was kind of weak sauce compared with what we could do with other systems.
Weak sauce.
So.
But D&D, it's weak sauce.
That's important because most of the time when people talk about role-playing games today, 98% of them mean just Dungeons and Dragons, and that's it. And I just took a different path, and that meant, I was coding on multi-user dungeons, which are the things that came before MMORPGs. All text-based. You have a bunch of text online that would tell you what your character is and what you're doing, and those were fairly easy to code for because you were just leading people to different pages and didn't have to worry about rendering images and other things like that. And so I did some coding for that, and especially for like Middle Earth related.
Oh, that's awesome.
We are big Lord of the Rings fans here.
Oh my god,
very big.
You look up this old mud called T2T, or the Two Towers, where we definitely built Middle Earth out of text and various rooms. You go north and things like that.
Sign me the hell up.
Yeah, we are so about that.
That sounds right up my alley.
So I had a pretty wide-ranging commitment to role-playing games and sort of doubled down on a few that I really loved. One of them was the Street Fighter storytelling RPG from the mid-90s. It was a wonderful game by White Wolf. Another one was In Nomine, where you're playing angels and demons. Another one was Unknown Armies, which is a David Lynchian postmodern occult horror. Still one of the best.
That sounds
systems
great,
out there.
dude. David Lynch role playing game. Hell yeah!
I feel like most of us here at this table, besides Evan, obviously, are so just kind of untapped into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Into that universe.
Absolutely. I
can
can comfortably say, I've never played an actual role playing game along these lines before, and I'm very excited to try it out.
Yeah.
So of course I also grew up with video games, right? So I So I didn't own anything beyond an NES until I was in high school, and then I had a Sega Dreamcast.
Shout out.
But the cool thing was I would befriend people who had systems. That's how I got a lot of friends because I was just always sleeping over at people's houses. So like when the Sega Genesis released the first ever CD-ROM drive, the Sega CD, which you would actually physically attach onto your Genesis.
Yeah, it's like goes on the bottom, right? It's like this big. The N64 tried to do it with Majora's Mask, that big clunky disc reader that you would put on the bottom.
we would immediately decide on a friend's house, say we're bringing the Sega CD, and we would have like one of these all night parties.
I love that.
We in the early days, way before esports, we did LAN parties, right?
Yeah,
with
LAN parties. Wow, I remember back when that was.
Dude, I used to do Halo LAN parties.
So I did Modern Warfare 2 LAN parties all the time.
Oh yeah. What a toxic fun time
that was. What a toxic fun time.
So then I graduated high school and went to Grinnell College, a small liberal arts college in Iowa, and we had a pretty nice intimate kind of role playing game scene there. But they had a sort of branch called the Experimental College where students could teach each other other things. That's how I learned how to do belly dance, and
how to do what? How to belly dance?
Yeah, man.
That's super rad. Teach us how to belly dance.
I'm sitting.
Yeah.
We can start doing the snake arms, right? But my shoulders are out because I carry newborn and 3-year-old everywhere. So, maybe later, Hunter.
Rain check on the belly dance.
But I definitely got I think a solid training in what we call role-playing game theory by a fellow student who is on this web forum called The Forge, and I started checking in on there, and I was like, "There's incredible toxic bullshit on this forum. Like people patrol the shit out of each other, and yet." There was also some very amazing kind of theory about why certain games were doing one thing and not another thing. So the typical thing you did up until the Forge was say, I've got this game that's awesome and it can do everything and you should buy it. and there wasn't a critical language to really dissect the thing and say, is it doing what you claim it's doing? Which is always my critique of Dungeons and Dragons, right? Where it's like, hey, I've got this epic character. Now I'm gonna like wait for 45 minutes until I get to roll a die, and wait for another 45 minutes I get to roll a die again. You just keep track of actual human processes, right? What are the players doing? And this is sort of where like classroom teaching overlaps with role-playing games, where you're always thinking, what are the students doing? What are they taking in? But then also like, what are your players doing? Are they then meeting the kind of projected fantasy aspirations of the game? And that was what this forum was doing, was really measuring games by what they delivered, and it produced a lot of small press indie role-playing games. Well, what I didn't know was that when I went to graduate school in German at UMass Amherst in Western Massachusetts, I was moving to the hotbed center of activity for all this stuff.
For like role-playing games.
For the indie scene specifically. So Vincent Baker, who created Apocalypse World, and Epidioravachol, who made the game we're going to play today, Wolfspell. He made a game called Dread with Jenga blocks. Emily Care-Boss, who did the Romance trilogy, where one game you're going on 3 dates. One of them you're in a weird love triangle, and one of them you're in a breaking down like polyamorous polycule that is on fire basically, and what do you do with your relationship?
Wow. It's all intense stuff. That's what I love about role playing games, is they don't really hold anything back. Like there's so much, like if you need a detail, you need to seek some information, it's there.
Right.
Like which is really cool.
Just out of curiosity, one of the biggest forms of role-playing games today is Gary's Mod. Have you ever played Gary's Mod?
Do you mean like Gary Gygax? What do you mean by Gary's Mod?
It's a computer game where basically it's a sandbox where people can create all different kinds of world. There's Star Wars role-playing games. It's an actual video game where you can like assign yourself a character and stuff like that, say a stormtrooper or a Jedi, or you can be in the army, even like you can have commanders, generals, privates, all that kind of good stuff. It's a video game, sandbox video game where people basically assign themselves roles.
It sounds like Dreams, kind of.
Have you never heard of that?
I've heard of Gary. I see Gary's Mod on YouTube all the time. I've just never watched a video of it. I didn't know what it was.
You should watch the videos of people going into role-playing Gary's Mod lobbies and just fucking with people. Really? It's the most hilarious, because everyone's like really serious about role-playing.
Yeah.
So when someone comes in and tries to fuck with it, they all get so upset.
That's usually the content of it, isn't it? Like that's why I've never really watched it, because it's like I get really into, not really, because I haven't done a lot of role playing games outside of like like the games themselves, but I get so into it where I'm like, oh, don't troll me, because I'm gonna act and I'm gonna dress up.
Right.
Well, I guess one of the reasons why they get mad at you is because they are in this intense moment of co-creation and shared vulnerability that is not exactly. It's not exactly durable, right? It can be very fragile. And, one of the reasons why people like to consume Twitch streams of like Critical Role, Friends at the Table, Adventure Zone is partially because you get that sense of vulnerability, etc. But like, you don't have trolls wandering in or messing with it, or that one bad player who never shows up. It's like you can just experience this perfect game where people are funny but also playing their characters, but I also and
they're all voice actors.
Right.
The cool thing about Critical Role is it's like Laura Bailey, for instance, or Matthew Mercer, like these really well esteemed these established voice actors are just giving it their all when they run these games of Dungeons and Dragons or whatever they're playing. It's really fun to watch them get into it.
That is pretty cool.
I love watching their content on Twitch, and I'm not even a role playing guy. So,
and if you watch one of the recent episodes, they featured Monster Hearts 2, which is a game by Avery Alder. And Avery, Monster Hearts 2 is a hack of Apocalypse World, right, from our community, from Vincent Meg Baker.
That's cool.
And they were Matthew Mercer just ran it for charity, and we on the internet said, this is all wrong, Matthew Mercer, you're getting the whole game entirely wrong. Of course, Avery was very gracious about oh no, this is great, I'm so glad that people are seeing my game about angsty teenage monsters.
Yeah.
We're like, Matthew Mercer, you're running it as if it were D&D, you bastard.
Because he's really good at running games that are like D&D.
No, he's really good at running his show.
Yeah.
I will say Matthew Mercer is good at running his show. I'm not going to say how good he is at running the games.
Yeah.
It's speaking as a fellow expert that's his same age.
Yeah. Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I something I wanted to do with you, Evan, and I don't know, like, it's kind of, we don't usually do stuff like this. I was just going to ask him, like, rapid fire questions, like 30 of them really quickly.
I can do it.
All about games. And just to kind of get an idea, because, like, I did it with Ryan the other day. It was, like, 30 questions of, like, first game you ever played, first console you ever had. And it, like, kind of gave me an understanding. And it's just, we can all do it if you want before we jump into this game he brought. But, so I'm just going to ask, okay, so, like, what game are you playing right now at home?
King's Quest, the 2016 reskin or respawn, right? So
great game
by The Odd Gentleman,
and it was free, by the way, on PlayStation Plus. So Christopher Lloyd's in the game. Your very first video game.
Very first video game was Hunt the Wumpus. It's a labyrinth game where you're trying to hunt the Wumpus, but really the twist is dun dun dun, the Wumpus is hunting you.
It sounds like a Rick and Morty thing.
Yeah.
Wumpus. Favorite video game character?
Oh God.
It's always the hard one.
No. Because it's like, well, what favorite what? But I'm gonna just say Ben Throttle from Full Throttle. I mean,
cool.
He's witty and he can punch stuff in the face.
Yeah.
And what I really love about that game is that he's offered the several chances to develop his character and chooses not to. It's just way more fun.
Well, I feel like the reason people struggle with that question is because it's like what we've talked about before. It's like, well, there's avatar, there's character, there's different things that you represent in your protagonist, or even someone that's not a protagonist. Some of my favorite game characters, like the Happy Mask Salesman from Majora's Mask, is one of my favorite characters of all time.
You know who my favorite character probably is from video game?
Who?
Ezio Auditore from Assassin's Creed.
Oh God, you and Emma could talk all day. I think Assassin's Creed is boring, and I don't like it. But
the modern Assassin's Creed, I agree with you. But back when Assassin's Creed was good,
with
Ezio Auditore, are you kidding me?
I liked Assassin's Creed 2. I don't know.
That shit was fire.
I like 2, I guess.
Brotherhood was a marvel.
The follow up, yesterday in class, I confessed I really like Bayonetta right now.
Yeah, he does.
And that's an avatar relationship. I want to move as Bayonetta through the world. I don't think that Bayonetta's storyline can hold a candle to anything. But she's got the hair,
the shoes,
the shoe thing.
She's got high heel guns.
Exactly. Everything that she is doing is excess and kind of amazing.
Well, I did have that question on here. A video game character you relate to, and I guess
we just dinged that one off.
Yeah. A game you believe is underrated.
A game that I think is super underrated is Marathon 2 Durandal. That is by again a Studio Bungie before Halo. And actually has a lot of the same plot line as Halo and Destiny. If you're sort of tracing back to, there's the humans, and then there's an alien race that encounters the humans, and then there is this like horde thing that's going to threaten everything. That all came from Marathon 2 Durandal. But what you basically do in Marathon 1 is your ship is being invaded by this alien race, and it's a really intense sort of horror shooter. And when you
I love horror shooters.
Yeah, it has this very intense kind of lighting, and Durandal puts you on a planet rather than a ship, and you are obeying orders of one of the AIs that went insane on the ship, Durandal, and so Durandal
really cool.
Has all of this personality, and then you're meanwhile like just trying to figure out what the hell is going on, and it like I said, it's a 2.5D shooter from sort of the Doom era, but definitely
93, right? Or 94?
Yeah, the level design is impeccable, and it was also a very good multiplayer experience if you're setting up a proper LAN to do it.
See, I like that pick because you're pulling back. Because a lot of my picks, they weren't even really underrated, but they were underexposed. Like I was like Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, play that game. Or Inside by one of my favorite developers, Playdead. I'm like, everyone should play Inside. It's a 10 out of 10 game, and not enough people have played it. But
I played Inside. Come on.
Yeah, of course you have. I know you have. I made Emma try it the other day, and really fun experience.
WarioWare Smooth Moves. There's another one.
Yeah, baby.
Right for the Wii. I mean that goes basically, you take normal people and make them do embarrassing things within 5 minutes. It's very.
Have you guys played this game?
No.
Oh, we're playing it this weekend.
Yeah, WarioWare Smooth Moves is this kind of postmodern masterpiece.
It's so good. You know what my dumb 13-year-old self did? Emma's gonna hate me. I traded Twilight Princess in for WarioWare Smooth Moves at GameStop.
That was a good plan,
which is really funny. I own both games now. So, a game quickly that you think is overrated. I know we don't often like to talk about that.
Destiny 2.
Yeah, okay. That's.
Straight
I
up.
think Ryan might have said that. Our producer said something like that. A game character. Oh yeah, I already asked you that. Most annoying video game character. Mine was Navi, but. Fee from Skyward Sword.
Tony from Grand Theft Auto 4.
Yeah. It's hard. There's definitely some that annoy you, man. Like, cause like what's that boss in RE2? That Mr. X.
You know what? It's Ken from Street Fighter.
Ooh.
You know, because like, what is his deal, man?
What's up with Ken?
He's just some Westerner who's learning Taekwondo and trying to be better than Ryu. And you know, I just that's my response. I'll play as Ken sometimes, but it's like hate playing. You know,
Dude,
like,
I
don't really
Ken
like you.
I use Ken's in my top like 10 for Smash mains. So
He's not bad in Smash.
he's great in Smash,
yeah.
dude. Favorite game couple. And you can get creative with this. Ryan said Joel and Ellie, so he really, I guess, just a duo.
Favorite game couple. Cloud and Sephiroth.
Ooh.
From Final Fantasy VII. I
Heck
mean,
yeah.
you know, they're clones of each other, and they have this weird Freudian thing that's going on. Big dick swords, right?
Yeah.
They're
What's the name of Cloud Sword again? Because it's freaking amazing. I forget the name of it, but I love beating Ryan with it in Smash Brothers.
like Stormbreaker. So it's some really
didn't look
dramatic
happy.
name. But actually, like then if you play Final Fantasy VIII, you have Squall, who is the world's most angsty character.
Next question is best soundtrack in a video game.
Final Fantasy VI.
Ooh.
Mine would be Skyrim.
Mine's
I love the soundtrack of
Ocarina of
Skyrim so
Time.
much.
So
And then also where I assigned in my class, VVVVV is a great soundtrack. Dust Force is my other nomination.
there's video game music could be a 2-hour episode on its own
Yeah.
because there's so many
Yeah.
things. I mean, I could talk about Koji Kondo for 2 hours. So he's of course the Nintendo composer commonly used. So those are all good picks. I mean, any shout out, Allison? Do you have a favorite video game soundtrack? I guess since we're all
No,
kind of
I would really
chiming
need
in.
to think about it.
It's
That's
hard.
too. You can't just throw that shit.
I have
at
a
me.
list on my computer of like my top 300 songs from games. So that's the thing I made the other day for Ryan.
Not 10, not 50, not even 100, 300.
I made it the other. Me and Ryan were talking about it the other day. I'm like, I'm gonna whip up a list for you real quick, and I included the YouTube links to every entry. The game that you think has the best gameplay or game design, but mostly gameplay.
Because game design, gameplay are totally different.
You're okay.
Hit
I
that
do
mic.
it. I do it every week. I smack it.
Best gameplay.
Well, like for me, it's hard because it's like Super Mario Bros. The original is so innovative, but also like recently, like Breath of the Wild being so refreshing.
Bro, I'm sorry, but Death Stranding has to sweep this one.
No,
I'm just
God.
kidding. I'm just fucking with
It's a
you.
Strand game. It's a Strand game.
So one game that I think was quite engaging on this front was Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 from 2002.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Which again, Jedi up until that point had not been done well.
No,
Right.
Especially the sword combat, like in that game.
So the third-person follow perspective, which really had been innovated by Bungie's Oni like a year earlier.
Yeah.
Oni was released the same year as Halo, and no one cared about it because Halo happened. So and Microsoft said we are interested in Halo and not interested in this other crap.
Mm-hmm.
But Oni really is the predecessor then to Star Wars Jedi Knight 2, and Star Wars Jedi Knight 2. You get these gameplay moments of like, I will jump in this room. There are 5 stormtroopers, and I will lift them all up with one swoop of my hand and then scatter them. And it's just you had a lot of these moments.
I know you're about to ask him. Yeah.
Did you play Jedi Fallen Order? Just out of curiosity.
I've been asked about that several times, and I haven't because I haven't gotten around to it.
I will say,
I'm
not the biggest fan of how EA has been treating the Star Wars. Like, I don't like the Battlefronts very much, honestly. But Jedi Fallen Order is really, really cool. I mean, I'm not sure if I would quite put it up to Jedi Knight 2 in terms of... Because, I mean, Jedi Knight 2 was really cool for its time. You know what I mean? And Jedi Fallen Order is still really great for its time. But the gameplay of that is very much fun. I highly suggest you check that out. It was
satisfying. I think it was the fact that EA managed to put a quality product out. I mean, like, I gave the game like a 7 or an 8 out of 10, and like I think it's good. And most people give it more than that. So like it kind of feels like an Uncharted game with a lightsaber.
You only gave the game 30 minutes. You didn't even get to unlock like all of the actual cool shit.
I played the game for like 7 hours and just got bored.
I guess my stipulation is that Battlefront had such a microtransaction scandal, that I didn't want to touch it because
especially 2 where they. Okay, so moving forward, I should probably bounce around because I have a lot. We'll start the game in like 10 minutes. I just want to get through some of these because they're awesome. A game you think everyone should play, like if they're new to gaming. And
Journey.
You want them...
Oh wow, that's a great
pick.
mention. That's a great mention.
I'm a game professor.
What a great pick.
Yeah, that was made by USC alumni, right? University of Southern California, Tracy Fullerton's program. Shout out to Tracy. And
can you give me some? Wait, so the students they made it as like a project?
Alumni. You know, but that game company definitely I see as the outgrowth of that particular design culture, and you can also see it in Tracy Fullerton's more recent game Walden.
Okay. What's really cool about Journey to me is that you don't even have to like anyone can pick up a controller and play that game. You don't have to be great at video games, or you can be playing video game for your very first time and comfortably be able to play that game.
Correct.
And I love Journey because of I won't even spoil it because I think a lot of people that's another game that's maybe not underrated but underexposed to many people. Is that game is just such an emotional experience. It really surprised me. So I think that's a game everyone should try just because the way you can kind of empathize with the character models they've made for that game is really interesting. I didn't think that game would have such an effect on me.
Right. And
it was like my game of the year for 2012 or whatever it came out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
that's great.
Uncharted 3 was a close second though. A game you have beaten more than 5 times.
A game I've beaten more than 5 times. Super Mario 2.
Heck, Super Mario 2, babe. That is the niche pick of those original 3 from those Superstar collections. That's
I'm
awesome.
niche.
Yeah, that's really because I've beaten 3 in World several times.
Yeah, so Super Mario World too, but I mean that's one where you can just like walk into the back door. Come on.
Yeah,
you get save points, right?
2 is hard.
2 is genuinely a difficult, rewarding slog with the weird old Dream World stuff.
2 is it wasn't just a kind of a carbon copy of another game that already existed in Japan.
It was a reskinning of that particular game that didn't get a proper release globally. Yeah,
because like the actual Super Mario Bros. 2 is hard as hell.
Yes,
dude.
Is there a game you've beaten more than 5 times, Allison? You got a game like that?
The one that comes to my mind first is Banjo-Kazooie. That's my favorite game. That's one of my favorite childhood games ever.
Really?
Yeah.
I've beaten way too many games 5 times, so I can't.
Yeah, but the first one that comes to my head is just Banjo.
That's a big list for me.
Yeah.
That's cool.
A game that you think does cutscenes the best, and I'll give my answer first because I think because it's so recent. I think God of War.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, it's literally making me orgasm over here just thinking about the cutscenes.
Corey, the direction of Cory Barlog's, the way he decided to do the one take was.
And it's so smooth, and it's executed so well.
So what do you think does cutscenes really well?
L.A. Noire.
Ooh. Oh, that's a good one for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of standard. They're drawing on a cinematic tradition there, and God of War is the same thing, right? Where they're looking at basic filmmaking principles and making sure those are implemented alongside any gameplay, so that the gameplay is always supporting that feeling of I'm in a movie. And L.A. Noire, I think, has a similar
one of my favorite
effect.
Atmospheres and tones.
And I will say, I mentioned it as a joke earlier, but Death Stranding actually does have really, really cool fucking cutscenes.
Well, Kojima's cutscenes in general, man.
Yeah.
Like everything he does. Like I mean, Metal Gear Solid is like the first time I ever experienced cutscenes in a game.
Right.
And they're iconic to this day. So. Psycho Mantis. Let's see. Your favorite game setting?
Favorite game setting? Yeah, because again, I was like, okay, we have to compartmentalize the video games only.
Yeah, video. We'll do. You can say game if you want, just as a shout out.
I was like, what game world do I like to spend a lot of time?
I like Rapture.
That's what I was going
Rapture
to
is my favorite setting.
I would say any of the Elder Scrolls games would be my pick.
Rapture is just so far and ahead my favorite setting in a game, man.
You know, I don't really like playing the games, but I do like Dark Souls in
That's
general.
cool.
Like just the strange verticality and the fact that like every single boss is in this like distorted ruinous cathedral.
Right. Yeah.
And it's really one of these
It is a great setting.
yeah, so this feeling of vastness of you being very small and out of your depth.
Did you ever get to play Bloodborne or Sekiro, just out of curiosity? Also,
you know, other
from
people
Software
asked me this too. I played Neo.
Yes, which is so good.
Because I was in Japan in August and I got to see a talk by and meet Mizoguchi who did
No way.
Rez and then the guy who did Neo. And the guy who did Neo
so
said
cool.
okay, his talk was all about like the historicity of the game. So he wanted to make sure that if kids play Neo, that they would not flunk their Japanese history exams, and so that every fact that's in that game was there. So of course, like I'm a teacher, and I'm like, okay, well let's look at this
Let's
Japanese
put it up to the test. And a film guy,
history
because
here.
it's based on Kurosawa works.
Right.
So that's pretty crazy.
Oh my fucking god! I couldn't get like hardly anywhere. I you know so I got like out
It's
of
hard.
out of Europe into Japan, and then otherwise I am like stuck trying to get to the stupid ship where the first boss that I'm told is impossible.
I think
is.
Neo might be harder than the Souls games.
So Neo basically told me, okay, I'm gonna put Sekiro on hold because I derive no pleasure from this, and so I don't actually know what historical crap is or isn't accurate because I can't get very far into the game.
I highly suggest Sekiro. I'm glad that's on your list because it's a From Software game, of course, that is a lot different from their other games.
It's like a rhythm game.
And yeah, I mean, you know how in the other Souls games and stuff, it focuses a lot on the setting, which Sekiro does as well, but you also move kind of sluggishly. You know what I mean? Like kind of slow and stuff like that. Sekiro is the exact opposite. You are fast as all hell. You can reach almost anywhere in the game that you want to. And the combat style is impeccable to me in that game.
I just now started From games about 2 weeks ago. Ryan came over, introduced me to Blood. That's what we keep peeking at around the corner because Ryan is just like so happy we're talking. That's his. Ryan platinumed all the From games.
All of them.
So that's how dedicated he is. So I just tried Bloodborne, and it's a game. It's a question I have on here, like a game you were surprised you liked. I am so surprised I liked those games. I hear nothing about how hard they are, but I'm obsessed with the setting. I watched like 8 hours of Bloodborne lore videos in the last week. I can't recommend those games enough. So I mean, I love those games, and I got Bloodborne for free just because it was on PSN. So
that's tight.
Oh man, dude, those games are so good. I just think, and they're not for everyone, but I think everyone should give them a try because
I agree.
it does combat so uniquely. There's a sort of auteur aspect to the way From makes their games, where I'm like, oh, this is a From game. I could just tell
Absolutely,
immediately.
yeah. There's no mistaking a From game from another From game.
Would you say there's anything else like that, Evan, that is so unmistakably, like you can just tell, like, oh, I know who made this. Like, they have their signature all over it.
Kojima, of course.
Yeah.
My response to that question is yes. I mean, yeah, you can tell oftentimes especially by the team, because games are never by single authors.
Of course.
There's always a team, and you can tell in what sort of games environment they were socialized and how they then translated that understanding of games into the final product. So I mean, to some degree, if you look at the King's Quest example, and actually Roberta Williams is going to get an award at GDC for her lifetime of achievement.
That's awesome.
But you can tell the Roberta games from the non-Roberta games, right? The ones that really she was in charge of with her team versus the ones that she was like a marginal figure.
Yeah.
And it has to do with the very specific way that she mobilizes like every single fairy tale or myth ever into this kind of jokey mix. And so when I'm playing the King's Quest reboot, I have huge problems with it. I don't want to get into it on the air, but I have huge problems, especially in terms of tonal shifts, but then also how they lose that weird sense of combinatorial imagination that we now know from like Fable and other games that combine the fairy tales.
Shout out to Fable, bring it back, please.
Yeah, I mean, Roberta Williams really was an innovator in saying, well, what if you had Baba Yaga in the same world as, the the Three Little Pigs and you know, etc. The Minotaur, all this stuff is just going to be smashed together in the same universe. So she's a artist on that front, and you know, there are many people like that. But for me, RPGs are a lot easier to read than video games because video games are massive projects, massive.
Well, yeah, it's just sometimes like, you know, like I think was it you said Kojima? Like sometimes there is that fingerprint where his whole team is kind of sharing this creative direction and quirkiness. Because when I play a Kojima game, I can usually, you know, maybe just because he's just so gun ho about it. Like
part of the other thing about Kojima is he kind of puts his name all over the damn place. So.
and that's where I agree with that more. That he kind of began to brand himself as an auteur, whereas you know when we kind of have our private conversations about Kojima, a friend of mine said, well, you know, if every video game designer wants to be Michael Bay, Kojima at least wants to be Paul Verhoeven.
Right.
So like, you know, there are those video game designers who are just like, you know, we need to be loud, break things, and appeal to like the men between 18 to 30 demographic. And the Verhoeven is like, what if violence is actually things we are doing to ourselves?
Right.
What
Metal Gear.
Yeah, exactly. And the whole Metal Gear series has this intense like obsession with and ambivalence towards global level warfare.
Right.
Especially 2.
They played us like a damn fiddle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially 2. We love Metal Gear in this room, but I agree. We'll come back to these questions. I have 30 of them. That was our 15th one. I think we should get into the game. Evan's going to lead this game he brought here for all of us to play.
And I'm going to, not out of rudeness, but just out of GMness, we'll keep my phone handy for time's sake.
Yeah, do you want me to set a timer for you or something? Like, because you want to be out here around 4:30.
Yeah,
right?
but I think we'll do quite well.
Yeah, and I want to come back to ask you the final 15, and we can make it an actual. We're basically interviewing you.
So why don't we do a hard stop at like 4:10?
Okay.
Yeah, but one of the main things that Game Masters does is keep time. So
great.
That's
cool. I'll shut my laptop and get ready for this.
Okay, so we're gonna play a game called Wolf Spell, which is a game for 3 to 6 players by my friend Epidiah Ravachol. What you'll need is writing implements and just a bit of paper. You don't need a lot, like index card or something like that. And so if you've got your writing implements, it's fine. Otherwise, I've got this cluster of pencils that have been sitting next to me. God. I guess a little bit.
I thought I had no cards. I clearly don't know where they are.
While we're in this transitional moment.
Oh, Allison's got us covered. I didn't even need to get my bag.
Yeah, queen.
Oh, never mind.
I'm one of those guys that should have index cards, but I don't.
I do now. There we go. Do you want some, Logan?
I would like some, yes,
Yeah,
please.
you can take his,
How
we'll
many
take
how many
mine.
note cards do you think you should have, Evan?
Each of you just needs one.
Okay.
Oh.
I guess I need one so I can like keep track of stuff. But you know, we're gonna do a short game and and part of this is to really illustrate like what's going on in the indie scene the past decade. You know, what's the style of role playing game that I play and run. And if you like this sort of thing, we have an institution called Games on Demand that you can. That you can attend at Gen Con, at Origins, but also at PAX East, Dragon Con. We run these games for novices all the time.
That's so cool. And like, dude, I wanted to go to PAX this year, but like with the coronavirus, I was like, no. I'm not doing it. Like all my friends that are there right now are wearing masks and kind of freaked out. I'm like, oh man.
I have an even more boring reason why I don't go to PAX, and that's I hate lines.
That's not, dude, but that's the most relatable thing ever, is just going and waiting forever to. I've been to a couple gaming conventions, and you do wait forever. I mean, when Odyssey came out, Mario Odyssey, the better Odyssey, I had to wait for like an hour and a half to just play like 20 minutes of it.
The only line I wait for is the Chick-fil-A line. That's the only line I can tolerate.
Okay.
All right, Evan, take it.
So Wolf Spell, you're going to be playing in a fantasy world, but the most important thing is not the fantasy world, but the fact that you are all wolves.
Ooh.
Okay.
You are not born wolves. You're wolves of human blood. We will figure out why you are now wolves, but you were adventurers at some point, and now you're wolves. Yeah. And you need to decide what are you gonna do? Right?
All right.
The most important parts of the game are your 2 dice here. There's the blood die, which is obviously red, and the white die, which is your wolf die.
I like this.
The wolf die symbolizes the fact that you're now guided by new bestial instincts that you've only begun to
understand.
Sniper
And
wolf.
the blood die represents the fact that you have a history of being a human that has recently been eclipsed by you becoming a wolf. The way you determine your amount for any given roll is you take these 2 and you subtract the lesser one from the greater one. And so this is a wolf die. This is the blood die. So I've got a 6 right now on the white die, a 5 on the red die. That means that is a 1 wolf. Which means a crappy result wolf.
It's a bad wolf. It's a bad motherfucker.
If you ever get a 0 results, you either get a 1 wolf or a 1 blood, and you get to choose.
Interesting. What if we get 2 6s?
1 wolf or 1 blood.
Okay, cool.
That's how it is.
Yeah, okay.
The
Just making sure.
the other thing is if you get a feral score, you add it to your wolf die. So as you become more and more wolf-like, it gets harder and harder to be a human.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh no, hey, I'm glad to be abandoning this motherfucking ship.
Okay. So there are 4 of you, and there are 5 sort of adventurer characteristics among you. So you're a pack, but also you're previously a fantasy adventuring party. So so what you're gonna do is pick. Each of you will pick one of these 5 things, and only one of you will have that, right, to make you all unique.
Yeah.
So I'll just read all of the poetic text, and then I'll give you the whatever bonuses or whatever once you've picked it, because you don't know what the hell you're doing anyway. So,
Right? Yeah. Exactly.
We're wolves.
So
That's all I know. I'm a damn wolf.
think about what you would like to play.
Okay.
So the first bit of poetic text is, many have tested my sword arm and now wait to meet vengeance upon me in the afterlife.
Wow.
Second one
Spoiler alert
is,
if that was.
I am witness to stranger worlds than most. The arcane and preternatural are to me as wolves and weather are to the farmer. The third one is, I am at home when I sleep roofless and hunt my fare far from civilization. The fourth one is, I am most alive in the houses, hallways, and alleyways of humanity. And 5 is, no one ever truly knows where I stand and who I keep at dagger point.
Oh.
Wow.
You played a Game of Thrones, you played a win, baby.
So again, we have the sword arm one, the visiting stranger worlds, the sleeping roofless and hunting far from civilization, the being very comfortable in the houses, hallways, and alleyways of humanity, and the I'm so mysterious.
Yeah, okay. Do we get to vote, and as a group we pick us?
I'm gonna start with Emma. Which one do you want?
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Oh wait, I should get in.
Yeah, hold it close to your
feel like-
face. Fist away from your face. I can translate if you can't get close enough.
I like the roofless one.
Okay.
Damn it, Emma.
Okay.
Damn it.
So just say I write down in your card, I'm at home when I sleep roofless. You start the game also, write down that you have 2 feral, which means
I'm
that
going feral.
every time you roll the wolf die, you will add 2 to it.
Okay.
Okay? Hunter, which one are you after?
No, she just did number 5, right? I'm
Yeah.
the 5th one. I'm doing number 1, baby.
Okay, so
Meet my
many
death
have
sword.
tested my sword arm and now wait for meet vengeance upon me in the afterlife. Okay. So so what you get, so you can just write down sword arm or something short.
Captain Sword Arm, baby.
When performing tasks of gore or hatred, you may add +3 to your blood die after you've rolled. So just say +3 to blood die for gore or hatred.
+3 blood die.
I'll do the dagger point one.
Okay, so no one ever truly knows where I stand and who I keep at dagger point. So that means in matters of deception and trickery, you may add +3 to your blood die after you have rolled.
Oh, a fake bitch over there.
And that also counts for your ability too, Hunter. You can choose to add that 3 after you've rolled.
Yeah.
What's left?
Allison, you are either a witness to stranger worlds than most, or you are most alive in the houses, hallways, and alleyways of humanity.
think about this because I feel like the stranger than most thing is kind of interesting.
I want Allison to vote with her instinct.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
I know.
And what
Get
was
the
the
hell
second
outta
one you
here.
said? The alleyway?
You're most comfortable with humanity.
No. I want
Okay.
the first one.
Okay, so then you have been witness to stranger worlds than
Yeah.
most.
Oh, that's more than I said.
That means you can just write this as a little shorthand. When you are confronted with the supernatural, you add +3 to your blood die. So just write down +3 blood die with supernatural.
I'm Loki, motherfuckers. You can't trust me.
Now the cool thing is we get to
I'm a beast, dude.
so Emma's feral is 2. Everybody else record that you have a feral of 0.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Now the cool thing is I guess let's do a round of leading questions.
Okay.
And I will model some leading questions, and then you can ask each other some leading
And
questions.
should we get into? I kind of want to get into character.
Yeah. So why don't you answer the leading questions in character? But remember, you don't have a name yet or any of that. So more again, try to answer from this vague idea of a character. Don't think you need to know everything yet.
Right,
But
okay.
just act on instinct because this is a wolf game. You're acting on instinct.
Okay.
Okay, right. Let's start with Emma. Who was your partner when you were a human?
When I was a human, I feel like I had multiple because roofless, so I kind of was all over the place a little bit.
Sleeping around.
A little
Okay.
bit of sleeping around.
And so you were just sort of non-discriminatory and all over the place. And,
Okay.
yeah, wonderful. Hunter.
Yes.
Whom will you never forgive?
Oh.
I will never forgive my father
Okay.
for putting too much expectations on me. One day I will find him and kill him as a wolf.
I like this.
He is a video game cliche.
You've played me in every game. I'm every NPC in The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
All right. So I think for you, let's see here. What was your greatest heist?
My greatest heist was whenever I tricked my own grandmother into giving me her antiques that were invaluable.
So you're really a minor threat in life. Yeah. Okay. I get it.
Yes.
I get it.
Yes.
You
I have a big ego for small things.
you are the Wolf Low Creek Key grifter. This makes sense.
That's really. I robbed my grandmother. The most mysterious guy here robbed his grandma.
But you know,
Who robs their grandmother? Is that not
You're
mysterious?
a common like Dayton, Ohio crackhead who just robs from their family members.
and it's sort of like meta level, right? So we as players know all this stuff, but maybe as characters, maybe he's so mysterious that you don't know it, this kind of trivial
he thinks he's
aspect.
ambitious.
Okay. Allison, what world did you just come back from?
Hell.
Damn. Okay.
So you are in another dimension here.
Meet me in the afterlife and face my sword, foolish girl.
I'm now envisioning you as a flaming wolf. You're on
Hell
fire
yeah.
constantly.
Okay, so now you have the open floor to ask each other a few questions along those lines, if you want to.
Why were you in hell, trying to find an opponent worthy?
I was trying to find some backup for a mission that I'm gonna partake in.
Oh.
You're recruiting demons.
Obviously.
Okay.
It also sounds like this being a wolf thing is a big interruption to more important things. You really don't want to be a wolf for very long.
Emma, why can't you stay at one place? Why can't you find a place to call home?
It's my abandonment issues from my parents.
We both have daddy issues.
Everybody's processing. All right.
Wolf therapy sesh.
Why? Why do you rob your grandma?
Yeah.
Or why did you? I
Because
guess.
my grandmother was a bitch.
Why do we all hate our elders, dude?
But if you really want to know what my greatest heist was, it wasn't my grandmother.
Sneaky.
It was actually a cult. I found a cult in the Irish hillside,
Yeah,
And
the
I-
Irish cult.
and I ate all their heads off and consumed their cultish instinct.
So one thing I've learned is that there is an Ireland in this world.
I went to Ireland.
And hell, interesting travel destinations here.
Yeah, because he made that strong narrative move, I say that we set this thing in the 19th century, 19th century
yes.
UK.
Nice.
You have turned into wolves, but you're not in a very wolf friendly environment. People have guns and shoot
in a
people.
British accent.
You can do
So then I'm going to look at the reason why you are wolves. Okay, so you have so here's what you've got. Your background is the augurs have dictated that only Fang and Claw will rend your destiny. You will be reborn as beast to fulfill the prophecy.
Bloodborne.
Yep. So you will roll once the prophecy is fulfilled and add +3 to your blood die.
Is this for everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
And what should that prophecy be?
So if my blood die was already 3, so I guess that makes it 6. You said
I will actually say the prophecy is you as wolves shall command an army of humans.
Oh wow! 4 wolves on top. It reminds me
Oh,
of Call of
hell
Duty.
yeah.
It reminds me of Call of Duty Zombies.
We're gonna have some militant Irish people,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna deceive all of them
Well, like
motherfuckers.
the Crusaders. We're gonna control the Crusaders, the Knights.
Oh,
Yeah. And partially with me making that kind of statement, it means that like any good stories, there's opposition. So it means that no, you do not have an army of humans to start off with, and also no, you can't communicate very well. Let's get to that.
Okay.
Just wolf talk.
I'm going to play the part of Winter.
Okay.
Oh.
So it is winter like 1847, which means there's no food anywhere.
In Ireland, Jesus God,
yeah,
this
exactly.
is desolate.
Yeah.
All of Europe, but there's a potato.
Okay, so
famine
yeah,
happening.
we're now dealing with the Irish potato famine, which is the British starving the Irish for political gain.
Oh,
Yeah.
pesky Brits.
So we've gone to a very dark place already.
I like this.
Let's
I love this.
let's pull into the shifting. So I'm going to ask each one of you another question specifically around you having been shifted into the wolf players. Again, there's some vague prophecy while you're wolf, but the circumstances around your shifting are hazy because you've just recently become wolves. So, Emma, how has the shifting warped your consciousness?
My consciousness. When I shifted, I feel like I was alone, probably in the woods, just chilling in the woods, because that's something that I enjoy doing. So now everything's shifted, everything's in a new perspective. Obviously, I'm in this wolf body, and I'm very confused.
Nice. Hunter, what was the most painful thing about the shifting?
Well, before I was a wolf, I was a lone killer, an assassin, a fighter. But now I have the instinct to travel in a pack, and I feel very lonely.
That wasn't the question, Hunter.
I think he's talking about a spiritual pain.
What was the question again? I answered her question.
So, and what is the most familiar thing about the shifting?
The familiar thing?
Most familiar thing.
The most familiar thing about the shifting is that people are still not able to identify with me. I am still a mystery to those around me, and they do not know from which I came.
Mm-hmm. Allison, what dread seeps into your soul during the shifting?
What dread?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a step back from being able to accomplish what I want to accomplish in hell.
Yeah. So I'm envisioning this kind of misty hill in the Irish countryside, a mysterious circle of stones, vaguely of sort of a fairy mound nature, and coming out of the mist are then 4 wolves. And so now I get to say, you are now wolves. Describe your coat, your size, your scent, and your voice.
Oh, wow.
And this is where, because you don't got names, I'm sorry, everybody. So you need to identify me with your coat, your size, your scent, and your voice. And I would just write those things down on your index card.
coat, size, scent, and what else?
Coat, size, scent, and voice. And again, wolves cannot engage in any kind of dialogue. You can only growl, bark, snarl, those sorts of things. And you cannot understand wolf. Right? You know, I mean, you guys can communicate with each other, obviously, but it is you can't just drop it and say, "Oh, we're just speaking English now." That then is going to be translated into wolf.
Hey, I'm the wolf who talks. I took Rosetta Stone.
So your communication will have to be, yips, snarls, that sort of thing. A couple other things you can you can leave scents around on the terrain, and that's a good way of communicating. So you can pee on things, wipe yourself on stuff. And you all have really
me every Friday night.
So you communicate very well with smell. When you howl, it's usually out of affection, loss, or excitement. If you howl, other wolves will also howl too, especially wolves with a high feral score. Emma, you will join in the howl. You can wrestle among each other. You communicate with each other by playing. You can also groom each other, or you clean each other's fur teeth.
I'm not grooming Allison. She's on fucking fire.
I'll groom you, Allison.
and then you can go hunting, and you can behold the world. So those are the.
Yeah.
So he said size, scent, coat, and voice.
I said coat, size, scent, and voice.
I got mine ready.
All right,
Am I ready to share?
Then start it.
My coat is red like that of the sly fox. My size is slightly bigger than a timber wolf, one of the biggest versions of the wolf in the modern world.
I'm just putting down big and large letters. I'm gonna go on.
My voice is sly, just like that of my brethren that stalked Red Riding Hood. My scent is children. I smell of children.
Oh wow,
that's gross. Little kid lover. Favorite quote from The Office.
You can't trust me.
All right, that children's scent is an interesting detail.
Yeah, you murdering kids.
I have no boundaries.
Anyone?
Okay, yeah. Mine is a navy blue coat with ghostly white eyes. I thought that was important. A little contrast there. Smells like Dr. Bronner's mint body wash, because that's what I use. Mm-hmm. I am large.
Or the 19th century equivalent.
Yeah. So fresh peppermint.
Some peppermint. Yeah. I smell a peppermint. Fear me.
Yeah, I'm a giant navy blue, ghostly-looking, peppermint-smelling wolf, and I said large, probably the size of not quite as big as what's your name across the hall? What is your name?
I'm about as big as a timber wolf.
Well, okay, yeah, I'm not that. I'm like the size of an Indian motorcycle, or a Harley, and my voice is kind of like this, solid snake, like that. Shadow Moses.
All right, I'll pull up next. So my wolf, she's gonna be like a lighter gray. She's on the smaller side, and her smell is gonna be like pine and smoke, because I spend a lot of times out my cabin in the woods.
That's a good one.
Because I am a lone wolf, and then sound, I'm definitely quieter, don't really hang out with people a lot, so I'm just kind of staying to myself.
Wow. Nice.
Cool. Thank you.
Allison, what you got?
Is he ready? Okay.
I'm ready for you.
So my coat is white with hints of silver. I'm small. My scent is a faint smell of smoke because on fire. And my voice is relatively medium tone but loud, like a loud growl, because I mean business all the time.
All right. So, let's get into it. You play the game by asking me, Winter, what's going on around you, and then you tell everyone what your wolf is doing. Again, I'm going to frame the backdrop, and then you can kind of go from there.
And we can ask in English.
You talk to me in English when you're trying to communicate amongst each other.
We can't use English.
You can't use English.
Okay.
But what you can do is wrestle.
Mm.
So maybe one.
Can we kill each other?
Absolutely.
Oh, hell yeah.
But I, again, this is a story, so.
Oh yeah, I probably don't want to do that.
You might want to have motivation for that.
Sneaky, I don't know.
Otherwise, if like Hamlet just randomly killed Polonius in Act 1, Scene 1 of Hamlet, and then stares at the camera going, "What?"
That settles that.
It's a slightly troll version of that particular story.
Kind of love that bit though.
So again, I'm gonna frame it like. The Irish Highlands, mid-19th century, what would be covered in a coat of green is covered in a light dusting of snow, and the deep winter fog that a high humidity environment can produce. A light gray wolf, a navy blue wolf, a red wolf, and a white wolf that's vaguely glowing. Exit the stone circle and wander down the hill. That's you guys. What do you do?
I have a question.
Yeah.
What kind of fauna do we have in the environment?
Well, it sounds like you want to behold the world, so
I do.
Make a roll.
Okay, doing the roll.
So what you got?
White die is 5, the wolf die, and my blood die was 4, so 1 wolf.
1 wolf die. Okay, so you just became a wolf.
Mm-hmm.
Like just became a wolf with some ritual or something, with the weird words of the prophecy echoing in your head. Something about an army. Something. It's all very hazy.
A lot of destiny.
But what you want to describe to me now is the overwhelming feelings that you're having now that you have completely different senses, right? The sense of smell that's completely overcharged.
I can see scent now.
Yeah. So tell me how you react, to having way too much data all of a sudden.
It was information overload. So I started running towards the cliffside and then realized I was on a cliffside and just kind of was panicked. And I was seeing scents. The flowers were giving off this glow. I could see trails of what probably was rabbits that were once in the area, and it was almost like having like a deja vu type of sense. I could like compute what animals were in the area earlier.
So what do the other wolves see?
I don't know other wolves. I get to say what they see.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you're having a very intense internal experience. So what does that look like?
I think my brother wolf is on psychedelics all of a sudden.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of a wolf.
I'm just trying to grasp this, like these senses. It's like seeing new colors for the first time. I'm still thinking like a human, trying to fight my wolfish instincts when really I need to give into it.
I have a question.
Yep.
Where is the nearest human village, preferably with vulnerable children?
Sounds like you want to behold the world. So take those dice
I love that.
and behold the world.
I got double 6, so 1 wolf again.
Okay, yeah. What? You can do 1 blood if you want.
Let's do 1 blood.
Okay. So you're looking for a village?
Yes.
Okay. So
yes.
Yeah. You're very intent on finding this village, and so you kind of bolt from the pack.
Yes.
Intent on finding something. As you come down to approach the village, you don't notice it, but the viewers of this film do. The sound of barking dogs, hunting dogs.
I say, fuck these dogs.
You would say that if you knew about them, but instead you are hell bent on that village, and that's about it.
These dogs are mysterious to me, and they cause me to stop for a single moment, sniff the air. But now, once I realize that they're so inferior to my being, I charge on to this village. And I follow my nose to the nearest candy shop where I know children must be.
So it seems that the red-coated one is arrogant.
Yes, very arrogant.
Little kid Logan.
Okay, so navy blue and red has gone. So let's hear from light gray or white. What do you want to do?
I need to know something. Where is the closest abandoned church?
Down in the village.
But abandoned though?
Abandoned. Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's something you'll have to use your senses to figure out. So behold the world.
Nice. I have a question while she's rolling. You gave us numbers in the beginning. Mine was +3. So does that add on to each roll?
If it's related to hate and gore,
Gotcha. Okay.
that's your blood.
Great.
All right, wolf is 3, and my blood was 1, so
Oh, you
2.
got 2.
A 2 wolf. Okay, so you actually get to ask some questions. Pick then 2 of these 4 questions, and maybe everybody wanted to write down these because these are the general behold the world questions.
Okay.
One is what do my eyes tell me? What do my ears tell me? What does my nose tell me? And what do my instincts tell me? You get to pick 2 of those, so we can just do them one order. And again, what you're noticing is that you as players have these abstract level desires. I want to find an abandoned church. I want to find a shop with children in it. And I am recentering it on like you are wolves having a very specific sensory experience.
Yeah. Hey, I was just trying to lock onto my senses. This guy.
Oh
wants
yeah,
to
yeah. And
go
but
for
I'm
all
also
the
saying
toddlers in the
none of you are
village.
playing the game incorrectly. It's just this. I'm insisting on the on the questions they give me. So
I love it.
So
I love
so what question you want to ask first?
What do my eyes tell me?
Okay, your eyes tell you that that the Red Wolf is in for some trouble because Red Wolf is bolting straight into town.
Children.
And there's a group of dogs coming around the bend there.
Okay.
And then what do my instincts tell me?
Your instincts tell you that the abandoned church is just on the other hill beyond the village. So you can either go down into the village, or you can make the much more treacherous path up over the hills and avoid all those pesky people.
Children.
It's your choice. What do you do?
I'm gonna take the riskier path.
Okay.
I don't need to see his shit.
Those
All right.
wolf instincts
That's
don't do
that's
much
my
for
problem, not
friends.
yours. The children are mine. Anyways.
Yeah. So you go off on the treacherous path, but it's also not near him and not near the village.
Okay.
Okay. Light gray wolf, what are you doing?
Am I allowed to follow her? Because
Absolutely.
I see these other 2 wolves going crazy, and I do not trust them. So I want to know what she's up to because she's more calm, has a better grip on things. I feel like we just turned into wolves.
So your instincts tell you that if you were to wrestle with her a little bit, you would know a little bit more about her.
Ooh.
Do you want to wrestle with
We
her?
get to come back and
like
watch.
aggressively. I don't want to fight.
No.
Play wrestle.
Let's wrestle. Let's wrestle.
Yeah.
Play wrestle is literally how wolves communicate. So
Let's wrestle, babe.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down for that.
Okay, so roll the dice. Oh, and you're both so you got 1 blood. Ooh, crap.
Oh no.
You have troubles negotiating the play and feel but you're feral. What am I doing? You're feral. So actually you get 5, you get 1 wolf. So you are going to play a little bit too rough with Allison. We'll get there.
So sorry.
Go ahead and roll those.
Accidentally kills Alex.
I have 4 because 5 and then 1.
4 wolf dice, I believe.
Well,
that would be.
Ye-
Right?
Well, 5. My wolf is a 5, and then blood is 1.
Yeah. So 4 wolf.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna get to the play too roughly in a moment, but I want you to just describe your play with her wolf, in which you kind of communicate what you want to do. It could be as simple as trying to lead her down the
Yeah.
path that you're. Yeah, I mean.
Was low-key annoyed at first, but then I was okay because I think she can help me in what I need to do.
Yep. Okay. So you kind of wrestle her
Nice,
like down the
Yeah.
towards the path, and then how do you play too roughly with her?
She's like kind of pushing me along, like following her path, and I'm kind of annoyed because obviously I'm not used to like working with people. You know, I'm better when I'm alone. So I push her back a little too aggressively, and she kind of falls a little bit.
Okay, she falls, and and there's a faint snap that you can hear, but it's not a faint to you. You have snapped a thing in your leg.
I can hear her cries from in the village.
This is called suffering Winter's Wrath. And I was like, where is the Winter's Wrath part?
I love Winter's Wrath.
Yeah. I'm Winter.
AKA
I have wrath.
seasonal depression.
Even wolves are affected by this great tragedy.
Try Prozac.
Okay. So you get to choose. Does this basically give you like a scar or a lesson that you've learned? Does it mean that you actually lose a limb, or does it mean that this is going to be fatal for you?
Oh, I just want a scar.
You just want the scar?
Scar me up. Yeah, come on. Give me all the scars.
Okay. So
I think it's important that her hands are singed from pushing her since she's on fire.
I still got things to do, so I'll take the scar.
okay. Yep. So you basically you slip. There's a snap, and at first you're like, oh crap. Like this is painful. I've broken something, but then you're like, oh no, she just pushed me into an exceptionally sharp twig, which is now sticking out of my leg. You can fish it out with your jaw, but it's gonna leave a mark.
Cool.
Okay.
Tight.
No, not that bad.
Now
Yeah.
The first battle scar
You
of the
look like
evening
you
goes
look
to
like
Allison.
the
once
D-Dog from
once
Metal
you
Gear.
use that option, you can't use it anymore. That's all. But
Oh well, you gotta watch out for trouble now, then, Allison.
yeah, well, I mean, it's just, but you know, this is how your characters get personality, right?
I will
Right.
not push you again.
Yeah. So you both communicate that you're like, here, we're going over to this church, and also you're just a little rough at playing because you are a feral wolf. Okay. Hunter, where this blue wolf is who's confused. Also, now that you sort of come to your senses, you also see that there's a pack of dogs that are going to be on top of your fellow, I guess, fellow wolf, big red wolf.
Well, I mean,
in a moment.
it's weird because I'm trying to get used to all this incoming information.
Yeah, that's right.
Just abandon me, brother.
But the thing is, I don't really give a shit about the red wolf, but I, of course, would give a shit about my friends that we were once. I knew this red wolf when I was a
Yes,
human.
you did. Vaguely. Yes, you did.
So the thing is, I don't know why, but I'm feeling a sense of, like deja vu or a sense of familiarity. So I see someone I think I might know or have importance associated with. It's like the Jedi. It's like the Force, and I'm like, he's going to be in danger, so I should go intervene.
Do you want to do violence on those dogs?
Of course I do.
Okay.
My enemies will meet me in hell.
Okay.
Let's roll some violence. So
Yeah.
I have +3 gore and hatred, which I'm very excited.
Yeah,
to use.
exactly. So you and is that +3 blood? Yeah, +3 blood on
Blood die, yes.
So there you go.
Die. Might the Sith will rule the galaxy. So I have an even 3, so 1. 3 across the board.
+3 on the blood.
Yeah, so 1 plus
But-
3. I have 4.
Yeah, 1 + 3 is 4, right? Yeah.
Yes,
So
it
so,
is.
so you just did 4 blood.
Yes.
You're going to choose. There's 5 results, and you're going to choose 3 appropriate ones.
Okay.
Um.
Violent ones will likely be the answer.
Okay. So 1 is you do not earn Winter's Wrath, so you will come out of this encounter unscathed.
Yeah.
No one is in peril. You seize upon your advantage, and turn it into success. You may lose a feral if you want to, and you may modify your environment to your advantage. What would you like to do? You can choose 3 of those things. You probably, the best case scenario is you don't want to have Winter's Wrath this early.
No.
You don't want him to be in peril, and then you don't. And then you can modify the environment to your advantage.
It's almost like you can read my mind.
Exactly.
So I'm no Winter's Wrath or whatever. What is it called?
Peril.
Peril.
Yeah. So actually, yeah. Describe what you do to lay in into the dogs, save him, and then make sure that they can't go after you.
So, to abide by my my friend's wishes here, he was darting for a candy shop with a group of children outside of it. What I did is I ran and pushed all of the kids in front of the guard dogs and got away.
Nice. Okay, so
Wait, so what,
wait, he's not at the candy shop yet.
Yeah.
He was darting there though, and there was dogs that were behind him. That
Okay,
were
so it sounds like you really let the dogs like run into the town. There are some kids,
Yeah.
and you let the dogs sort of collide with the kids. Now I have kids, and as a game master, and so I'm gonna do something called the Veil, which is because I don't want violence against children.
we could use something else.
No,
It was the only thing nearby.
You made your decision, Hunter.
I like the idea of implied violence against children and not any spelled out. And so what happens is we're just going to fade out to the dogs
Cut the black.
confronting the children in the streets, and you guys come to safety. And so I put a veil over that content for my own sake as a person.
That's good. That's good. I was just the only thing nearby. Either I distract the dogs with candy or distract the dogs with the children.
And so I think you two are now in an alley behind.
Is it my turn yet?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right.
We're in an alley.
I am pissed off at my brethren wolf for not allowing me to hunt down these children. No,
Distant barking.
being blinded by my greed towards these children.
And yelling.
I do not recognize the safety of which my brethren wolf has provided me, and I go after him. I attack my brethren wolf.
Oh my God. Okay, it sounds like wrestling is happening.
Great.
Okay, so go ahead and roll your wrestle.
What a moron. You're a moron, Morty.
4 blood.
4 blood.
And I'm deception, right? So this is kind of deceiving him. So can I add 3 to that?
Are you
You're deceiving yourself, dumbass. I saved you.
Yeah, you saved me, but I'm deceiving you from thinking we're safe now at the same time.
Trickery.
no?
Fine.
Yeah.
4 blood then.
4 blood is actually a better result for you, but
Trying to screw everyone over.
it was like, yeah, that sounds like tenuous explanation there.
Cersei Lannister over here.
So, and of course, if we were like an old gaming group, you'd be like, no, I reject this ruling. and we have a nice rules debate over it, and
I love that.
and we kiss and make up over beer.
We should start doing this more often, guys.
This is awesome.
All right, so the I just want to say there's a sociality to role playing games that should not be forgotten. Where's the Mountain Dew?
And Doritos.
and so the you were wrestling and you got 4 blood.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. Okay.
Fuck you, brethren. I was going right after that candy shop.
He's all hopped up from this.
Okay.
I wasn't even going for the children. I was going for the candy, you fuck.
So you can ask
Wouldn't have known. You said
me
children
as
10
Winter.
No, I was going for the children.
I'm going to give you 6 questions. You can ask me 3 of them.
Okay.
What should I be afraid of? Who is vulnerable? What do they want from me? Where am I most advantaged? Who's in control here? And what's most valuable here?
What's my biggest advantage?
Okay, where were you most advantaged? You are most advantaged when people follow you and they shouldn't.
Okay.
Right? So that you are leading someone astray. That's where you're most advantaged.
Okay. Where am I least advantaged?
Where you're most who is vulnerable?
Yes.
You are vulnerable when you're alone.
Okay.
And your third thing?
Could you give me a refresher on the other questions? real quick?
What should I be afraid of? What do they want from me? Who's in control here? What's most valuable here? You're kind of a thief, so maybe what's most valuable?
Yeah, I was thinking that. What's most
Yeah.
valuable here?
Clearly not family relations. Grandma.
What's most so I think this is the point where the prophecy echoes in your mind.
Ooh.
You will
was the first to
command
gain
an
insight to
army
the
of
prophecy.
humans, and that is that what's most valuable here are the people of this village.
Total 180 from what he was thinking before.
And of course,
My mindset has now changed. The children can be used for my benefit.
and
They can be my slaves. My work slaves. They can build weapons.
the viewers at home, of course, see just two wolves playing in an alley, having complex feels.
Yeah. They
For
just-
low pay, I may add. No pay at all, actually.
no unions.
Okay. Meanwhile, up in the high hills, going to the
Thank you
abandoned
for being
church,
patient, Dr. Torner.
we have our light gray and white coated wolves.
Majestic sounding.
I will say this is a fairly perilous journey because you're wolves and all, but this is like the proper Highlands. I mean, it's not the Scottish Highlands or the Irish Highlands, right? It's rocky terrain, and you are sure-footed, but you're slightly wounded, and it could be disastrous.
Slippery up there.
So what you are doing? Which one of you is in front, leading the way?
Me.
Of course. Then you are facing the perilous. And
I'm right behind you.
and you are also the most vulnerable. So please roll your dice.
5 and 5. So
So either one wolf or one blood.
Might get perilous.
one wolf.
Okay, so you either will, if you continue to pursue this path, you will suffer harm,
More harm, I might add.
or you can sacrifice yourself for the good of the pack right now.
No.
Okay. So
No.
Yes, more harm comes to you.
It's fine.
So again,
Not ready.
I'm gonna depict this as you're wandering and the like rocks are like flying out from underneath your feet. Like this is as if someone had dumped a bunch of gravel on top of a mountain and you're trying to walk across it. It's very, very hostile territory.
Wow.
Let me.
Sounds
What happened to
weird.
my note card?
It
Thank
sounds hostile.
you. So you realize that this footing is perilous, and you realize that you stand before a choice. If you keep going with your leg in that condition, it's not gonna go well for you. And if you choose to move on, you'll probably still make it to the church along this path, but not intact. So this is the like sort of parents like, oh shit moment. I should not have chosen this.
Yeah, but I mean,
Oh no.
I can.
He's gonna make the bad decision again.
I mean, it's either I die or I lose something. Like I lose a body part, right? It's basically what my two choices are. I'm gonna lose some type. I'll lose something.
Yeah. So great. Yeah, so you two press forth, and I think that this really defines your character, right? You not only are an intrepid explorer, a former human who explored other worlds, but you really just don't give a shit about what terrain is around you because you have goals. Okay, you have goals and dreams, and the ground.
There's your dreams, bitch.
Crumbles from out beneath you. That leg that you that
shove
you've
the
been
twig inside,
hobbling
yeah.
on really gives out, and you fall and hit not one, not two, but 3 different boulders and come to rest at the bottom of the hill.
I can hear the impact right now.
Yeah, and this of course is limb loss for you because so you can't use that leg anymore.
Ooh, a one-legged wolf.
And
Wait,
Oh, you know what?
3 other legs.
Actually, I kind of was wondering: are we like werewolves walking on 2 legs, or are we 4-legged?
You're 4-legged wolf.
Okay.
Now,
Like the Skyrim werewolf.
like Grey
Like
Wolf,
creepy.
the White Wolf has just fallen before you. You can go down and help her.
No, I want to go help her. Let me see what I can do.
Okay, you can groom her. It's time to groom.
Oh wow!
I'm coming to groom
You guys will be getting intimate here.
Wow, you guys are really.
That is
We're
how-
really progressive
off.
woke cult here.
We love it. Safe space here at UC.
So grooming. is really important part of this. So she's lying down there quite vulnerable. You don't need to. Okay, you reestablish your relationship. You're not able to fix her. You're not able to fix her leg because the whole pack isn't there.
Shaking my head.
You.
I couldn't resist the children, man. I'm sorry.
But
last words.
you get one feral, and more importantly, you get the emotional gratification of there's at least one wolf who is there for you.
I'm here for you.
And
I love that.
so do you like lick her fur and lick her wounds?
Oh, yeah.
And yeah.
Look all of it.
Great.
What? That's just a wolf thing.
It's
No, that's a fair point though. It's
Just
nature.
wolves being wolves,
it's
baby.
wolf maintenance, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got about 5 more minutes in our session here.
Oh man, this will be continued in some way.
We
We should go to Skyline and continue this.
It's National Chili Day. I would like to point that out, and I am going there later. Oh, wow.
I envy your lives. I'm going to go grocery shopping for apple juice after this.
Hey, apple juice is gas though.
Apple juice is my son's favorite. I like to cut it with water. And,
okay.
And he,
reduce the sugar a little bit.
Reduce the pooping.
well, but also because he doesn't like cold apple juice, even though I store it cold.
Oh.
And so he calls it apple juice warm with the magic because it's magic from the water. Apple juice warm with the magic with the apple taste, and that's what it's called.
I haven't had apple juice. I used to drink juicy juice, the little boxes. Those were the best.
Forever underrated. Real quick, white grape juice. So good.
That's good stuff. So I think we're gonna go back to the boys for our last.
What's happening with our tussle, Hunter?
Well,
Yeah. So you've tussled and you've learned a great deal about what's going on.
I did.
Insight.
Hunter, what's your so you've tussled with this guy. You could tell he's pretty reckless.
Yeah, but he also gained some insight though, right?
Yeah.
So he's kind of like all of a sudden, like I think he stopped mid-fighting. I mean, he was kicking my ass. He got 4 blood. I mean, but then he all of a sudden stops and just, again, my intuition here, because he's just like.
And you guys don't really understand each other, but you sort of still understand each other.
And we realize we should probably wiser to form a pact with one another.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing. Forming a pact.
Okay. Forming a pact, not a pack.
Join the cause. Yeah, I don't know. Join the, I'm not David Attenborough.
Are
join the cause.
Do either of you have feral
Pack.
scores?
Did I say
No,
pact
I don't
or
have
pact?
any.
We're making a pact to join a pack.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'd say that you go from wrestling then to grooming to each other. You start licking each other.
Oh hell yeah, we do.
Okay. Is it my turn then?
Absolutely.
While I'm grooming Hunter,
Say that one more time. For me. Say that sentence a few more times.
in my head, I make a mental note of this pact we've made, and I trust him for the meantime, but I know that the humans that I will futurely enslave will only answer to one wolf and not 2. So I make a mental note that when Hunter is at his most vulnerable, I will take advantage.
Too bad I am.
Ooh.
Nice.
This is an interesting story.
We see sort of a track in on his like dead eyes as he formulates.
As we're
this
shaking
plan.
hands. Pause.
Pause. Yeah, I was
Pause.
gonna say you both know that you're unnaturally humans as wolves,
Yeah.
but you don't know where this story will lead, and that's where we'll cut off for now.
That's awesome.
We need to pick this story up again in another episode.
I
Like
have so many
seriously.
questions.
I'm happy to keep running it for you as long as the main thing is I'm gonna record where you all are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We
here
should
we
keep our cards as well.
so here we have the light gray and the white coat are up in the hills and tending to each other, and navy blue coat and red coat are down in the town with a kind of weird power struggle. You're behind the sweets shop.
I still smell the children.
Behind a sea's candy,
So-
the two wolves tussle.
Children taste the sweetest.
Again, this is very unlike Dungeons and Dragons, but has some kinds of elements that would be drawn from that. But I think we've just been playing this game for 40 minutes or so. From character.
That was a lot
creation
of
on.
fun, man. Thank you for hosting
Yeah,
that.
no
That was really
problem.
fun.
I
Thanks for being patient with us.
no. I mean, the thing is a good system is resilient and can withstand players of all kinds of moods, kind of dealing with it. The more delicate the systems are, the less likely I'm going to run them in a kind of context like this.
Yeah.
I'm much more sympathetic to games like Monster Hearts or Wolfspell or Og, where you're playing like dopey cavemen, because these are all games in which if you're trying to succeed and like have something heroic happen, like that's fine. But you're just trying to play dumb cavemen, like doing things, that's also fine. Monster Hearts, if you succeed at something, it's because you're an awesome like monster in a teen's body. But then if you're a failure, it's because you're like in high school. Come on.
Yeah.
And that fictional alibi means that no matter what you do, it will be interesting and genre appropriate, and that's a hard balance to hit.
Yeah.
I think so too. Do you want to finish off some rapid fire questions?
I'm
Yeah,
ready
let's
for
do
it.
it.
I want to know. Let me see here. Your favorite story in a video game?
Final Fantasy VI.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. Final Fantasy VI, because the is this sort of story about these plucky resistance fighters who go up against this empire. The empire's threat is not the emperor herself, but this mad vizier named Kefka, who turns out to be kind of a Trump figure, like basically just very
MAGA hat. man.
very crazy,
Gross.
driven by sheer instinct, does things randomly and somehow ends up in charge. And
Well put.
the wonderful thing about that story is that they wind up destroying the world, right? Kefka gets all the power
Great game.
he can and destroys the world and transforms the world of balance into the world of ruin. And then you, as a sort of scattered, returners, have to pick up the pieces of your lives, figure out what your damage is after all of that,
Yeah.
reform and take on Kefka, who is kind of bored and randomly destroying towns.
Where can I play this game? Because I talked to you the other day that this was one of the Final Fantasies I haven't played, and you said, "Oh my god!" Like you were like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah, I really like the story. There's also a strange squid that keeps turning up called Ultros. And Ultros is just a weird comical figure, and of course, this is the famous opera scene, Final Fantasy, where
I've heard of that scene.
Celeste, who again is the sort of inspiration for my daughter's name, Celeste. Celeste, who is this macho general from the Imperial Army, has to disguise herself as this actress in an opera, so that then they can lure in Setzer, the airship captain, as they then have a dramatic. I'm getting goosebumps, right?
No,
and then they have this dramatic fight in the rafters of the opera house. It's really
the thing I
amazing.
know
Celeste is a really cool name, by the way. Great name choice.
The thing I know about Final Fantasy VI is just how beautiful that sprite artwork is that you
Yes.
showed us in recently. I just it was way ahead of its time.
Just out of curiosity, Allison, do you have a favorite storyline for a video game? Would it be in the Bioshock?
I
was
know.
gonna say Bioshock.
Yeah,
Particularly Bioshock 2. I love playing as the Big Daddies.
never played that one.
Mine would be God of War. I love the storyline of the original ones, but the new one where you basically figure out all these questions about how Kratos got here, but you're never fully answered on them. And now he has a kid and how he's trying to ramificate for his past. And
Yeah,
you are kept guessing until the very end. So my favorite story is God of War.
mine recently is Undertale. I mean, I have lore that I'm obsessed with. I'm obsessed with the Hyrulean lore and Zelda. I'm just a big Zelda nerd. And then recently I've really become obsessed through Ryan Bloodborne. But I think Undertale recently, in terms of his story, is one that really grabbed me. So, what about you, Emma? Do you have a favorite story?
No, I agree with Undertale because I just beat that like last weekend, so I'm still like shocked.
So good. Do you have a favorite art style, Emma? Like in a video game?
I am a fan of the sort of gorgeous oil painting adventure game style, right? Where you have these tableaus that you can then walk through as if they were a storybook. And
You'd love Sekiro then.
Yeah. you would.
okay, good.
Do you have any examples of games that look like that are great. Like some shining examples.
I mean, Full Throttle is my touch point all the time. Tim Schafer's Full Throttle, but then Grim Fandango also from that studio, and then if you pull into like King's Quest 7, which looks like a Disney movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm a big fan of like the Peter Chan artwork style, which then if you look at the newer age adventure games, and that's stuff like Kentucky Route Zero, Trooper Brook. These styles have legs.
Have you seen anything about Ghost of Tsushima? Out of curiosity,
no.
Coming out this
Very
year.
Beautiful, realistic looking game for.
Yeah,
it's made by Sucker Punch.
It's set during the Mongolian War over in
feudal Japan.
Yeah, and it is. You should give that a look on YouTube or something.
It's a next beautiful. It's Sucker Punch's next exclusive for Sony. It looks really good. Something that I think is amazing in the last couple of years is just we've gotten so many different types of art styles in the mainstream. Like again,
absolutely.
I bring back Playdead and what they did with Limbo and Inside, but then of course the juggernaut that is Cuphead. And
right. I mean, I'm a huge Cuphead fan. I would say I've gotten past Cagney Carnation, and that's like my life. I can't get any further.
I just played it for the first time last weekend at Emma's house.
It will screw you up. That Cuphead.
It's easy.
No, I'm just kidding. I really like Outer Worlds art style as well.
Yeah.
No, go. What were you gonna say?
Just gonna say Hunter continually dying at Cuphead and being like, no, it's easy. Like this game's actually easy. And proceeds to like die.
Sounds like me.
I mean, the Moldenhauer brothers basically say, okay, well, every boss has a trick, but then like the trick differs depending on which attack pattern that they wind up doing, and then you actually watch the Moldenhauer brothers play their game, and they die all the time.
Well, yeah, I love how brutally punishing it is. I mean, the thing about that game is it's just so addicting to look at. I'm a big fan of rubber hose animation anyway, so God, the dedication they put. I mean, they took out a second mortgage on their house just to develop that game. I mean, you can really see it when you play that game. Like
I would prefer we lived in a world where they didn't have to do that.
Right.
Well, of course. Yeah. Me as well. And then, I mean, I could. There's so many games that I could probably give a shout out to for art style. But what is the your favorite or best, either one you want to do, boss fight in a video game you've done?
Oh God,
that's a good one.
Mine's The Stranger in God of War.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to open up the game, dude, that is so tone setting.
Like, this is Dragon Ball Z.
That is such a great tone setter, and it's like the guy is just like he's so full of himself, and you think you got him, but you kind of don't.
I thought it was
like
a regular guy.
The literal earth is splitting as you guys fight. Oh man, I guess that's a great one.
The recent one that really stuck out to me was from Control.
Oh yeah!
Oh yeah!
Shout out Control.
The anchor fight, where there is a strange orb that is spitting clocks, it's just regurgitating clocks everywhere. And I think runner up to that would be Dr. Call's robot from Cuphead.
Oh, that's an awesome choice.
What about you, Allison? You got one for that?
I don't know like which one in particular, but one of the bosses from Dead Space.
Oh wow, Dead Space definitely needs to be
that.
mentioned on that.
Game
What a
is
great
so
fucking
fun.
game.
Yeah.
What's the name of the boss in Earthbound? Like Gygas or Gygas or something? Like that boss is unreal. The boss. Have you guys played Earthbound?
No.
Oh, it's like it looks like a psychedelic trip, and you're fighting a boss. It's kind of like Flowey from Undertale.
What's really crazy about Dead Space though is have you seen the videos of their like production of that? How there's literally like hundreds of different ways to die for like almost each enemy.
Yes,
like
that game is
just,
so
like,
intense too.
You hardly ever die the same way.
No game has ever scared me except for that game.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I think
Silent Hills never scared you.
No, that hasn't scared me.
From the Resident Evil 7 was pretty scary to me. At some
yeah,
points.
I mean, yeah,
but
just like Dead Space.
Oh my
itself,
god, dude! RE7 in VR is stupid.
It's awesome. I love it.
Stupid.
It's so fun.
Dead Space was just trying to do something different in terms of taking it out of like Earth, and they're like, we're gonna give you some creepy shit in space.
Another creepy boss fight for me is the three sisters from like the little girl sister from BioShock. That shit is definitely really.
There's
creepy.
a lot of my favorite boss fights seem to be from the old classic era though, because a lot of NES and SNES boss fights for me, and even PS1 like the Castlevania games. I mean, I think of a lot of fights in that.
Yeah. Castlevania had dead standout boss fights.
Mega Man and all that stuff. So like Dr. Wily is one of my favorite fights of all time. So from 2. So what are you gonna say? I think you were gonna say something.
Oh, that conjured up a whole, I sort of compartmentalizing everything, but there's that massive gathering of monks in Dark Souls 3.
What? I just started that game.
Brian over there knows what you're talking about.
You are fighting against this horde that is also a boss and is creepy as hell. I remember getting chills out of that
I just
fight.
downloaded the game. It's added to my library. I was waiting to start until Ryan came over and watched me play it. I'm really excited to play it.
You're gonna die a lot, Hunter. Sorry,
dude. I love those games. Are fantastic. I don't know. Let's see. The best written dialogue in a game. Again, I'm going back to Undertale.
I'd probably say The Last of Us. Yeah. I love some of the.
I gave that to my voice acting pick for sure.
Yeah.
But written dialogue to me, there's just a lot of good. Again, we can talk about Final Fantasy. I think Zelda sometimes does it well, but Undertale, dude. I mean, Toby Fox's dialogue is just hilarious. It's such a good homage to what Earthbound is, and I don't know.
I also shout out Outer Worlds because that game is so fucking funny to me. Like literally every line just makes me almost laugh out loud in that game.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not even like, again, there's just the way that you can humanize a character. I mean, if we're going to keep doing Final Fantasy, they build their characters up, and they're just little sprites on the screen. But the way these writers bring them to life, I mean, Dr. Torner, do you have a pick for dialogue shoutouts?
So Full Throttle is my my big. If you haven't played it, it's.
Would you say that's your favorite game?
Yeah, it's my favorite game.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. And partially because you can play it in under 3 hours. It's a tight sort of animated movie experience, and
what system?
It's an adventure game, so point and click.
I mean, is it a computer? Is it PC?
A PC game,
okay.
Yeah. And I think that the dialogue manages to be funny without like trying too hard for humor, which is there's a point where you can overextend, and what they actually do things with like his grunts that allow you to make a joke, right? Or and it's just the dialogue that sticks out to me. And again, I don't get to play as many video games as you guys do, so this is the one that stands out to me in my
for dialogue.
Yeah, especially for dialogue.
Kim Kardashian Hollywood last week.
Runner up is Gabriel Knight, The Beast Within, which is so if you play adventure games, Gabriel Knight, I think is by Jane Jensen, who's one of Roberta Williams' earlier collaborators on the King's Quest titles, and moves into much more sort of CD-ROM interactive video games in the mid-'90s. And Gabriel Knight, Beast Within, is Gabriel Knight as the awkward American wandering around disturbing Germans in Munich. And as a German professor, I get a kick out of that. He's like, I am now going to be in an awkward conversation with you. This German is unfriendly. It's hilarious to watch because it happens over and over again. Oh, an unfriendly police officer. Turns out you're a werewolf, though, so you get...
That's a big old twist.
Yeah.
Turns out you're 4 wolves who used to be human. So just a few more left. What's a popular game that's on your backlog? Like, I mean, for me, forever it was the Souls games, and I had 2 questions on here, kind of like this. It's a game you were surprised you enjoy, and a game that's on your backlog. For me, it was the Souls. Anything from. I was shocked that I liked those games, and they forever were on my backlog.
For me, it'd be The Witcher. Any of the
Witcher
games.
You haven't played.
I haven't played any of the Witchers.
Play Wild Hunt.
So mine is actually any Fallout game past Fallout 1 and 2.
Oh wow!
So I played the isometric view Fallout
with that amazing artwork.
There are people, like, especially with the type of games you like to play, that consider those the best Fallouts.
They are.
Dude, it's so cool.
I will say, Fallout 4, I wouldn't bother, to be honest. I mean, like, it's solid, but I wouldn't bother. Fallout New Vegas, however, is something you should definitely put some time into.
They give you a lot of options and exploration for a Fallout game, and I think New Vegas is probably my niche pick in that series too. Even though my heart has 3, I always thought that Fallout games, the best thing about them was the setting more so than playing the games. But that's crazy. Yeah, I mean that's a pretty big big one. What about you, Allison? Do you have one that's a popular one? Because it's like there's so many. I mean,
there has to be a popular game you haven't played, Allison.
I mean, you've done. I know you do a lot.
Oh
of things.
Shit! I can't believe I forgot to shout out Disco Elysium for dialogue. Disco Elysium is incredible.
It is.
Yeah. That
If you have Nintendo Switch, play that game.
or PC. Yeah,
Or
I mean,
PC,
yeah. That Disco Elysium is by far. I was like, I played a game, and it's recently that had very good dialogue. What was it? So yeah, I mean that's the more interesting example. Allison, go ahead.
Madden.
Emma broke my heart earlier and told me she's never played a mainline Mario game, and that freaked me out to hear. I was like, well, Mario.
I actually haven't.
Super.
I don't think I've really ever played. I've played like a little bit of like Undertale, but not really. But I've seen I've seen gameplay in full, so like I know everything that happens.
It's so good.
But I've never really played. I've only played it for 5 minutes.
Just out of curiosity, Evan, how do you feel about the Elder Scrolls games? I mean, that's my personal favorite.
So fun.
So the last one I played seriously was Morrowind.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, Morrowind is awesome.
And Baldur's Gate.
We love Morrowind here.
And I mean the game I come back from that era. It was Planescape Torment, which I've written about.
You have.
And Planescape
Good
Torment
writing.
is definitely not Elder Scrolls, but like parallel. D&D adaptation that has a lot of literary qualities to it.
Did you ever play the originals like Daggerfall or anything like that?
Well, I mean Skyrim. I played. But mostly was involved with the mod community because it's a massive modding.
Of course.
What a fun modding community that game had. Too.
Oh, of course. It still does.
Still does.
Thomas the Tank Engine in that game is my favorite one.
Yeah.
Mine's the Tommy Wiseau mod.
I need to see that.
What do you mean?
Oh, it is beautiful. Everything just turns into Tommy Wiseau.
I did not hit her. I don't know. You can go all day with this one just because we have an amazing problem of that there's too many games.
There are too many games.
It reminds me of like the NES era where like every licensed property had a game, and it's just like nowadays it's just so many developers are, and some of it maybe is copy and paste, but there's a lot of good indie games out there that go viral, and there's a lot of good. Even like I haven't even played Horizon yet, which is I'm a big
Horizon
Sony
Zero
guy.
Dawn.
Yeah,
I haven't played that one either.
only like
Actually,
10 minutes
it's a big
of
one
it.
on the backlog for me.
I need to have you guys over there to play these Mario. The fact you even played Mario games, Mario World is in my top 3 games of all time, and Mario Galaxy is my favorite game of all time.
I have played Mario Galaxy.
Okay.
That is a fun fucking game.
Yeah, I mean, just if I hear Dire Docks, I will start crying. Like, which is from Super Mario 64. Like, I just those games are so special to me, so I want them to be special to everyone.
Oh, Dire Docks, interesting. Yeah. There are people from your generation in particular who have visceral reactions to the Mario 64.
Yes.
Dude, anything on the N64, dude. Ryan and I were talking about it the other day, just hearing the menus in Ocarina of Time, like as you go through and hearing like, hey, listen, like it's weird. I feel bittersweet, but and the SNES, like if I hear what's the song, Ryan, Aquatic Ambiance from Donkey Kong Country, that puts me in a mood, man. Like that era, the 90s era of gaming is so special to me.
Late 90s.
It's just it's fantastic, but yeah, especially that N64.
I also have to ask this real quickly because I've been getting really into Grand Theft Auto again lately.
Which one? The 5 online?
5. Not really online, just the story
Just
again.
messing around.
It's a great story, dude. It really is.
I think it's pretty good.
I would argue that the first half is better than the second half, but I mean, like, I don't know. To me, it's really a great story.
It's that same problem I have with Rockstar.
How do you feel about the Grand Theft Auto series?
I played 1. You know,
like the first one?
Number 1, the top-down PlayStation one.
Yeah.
Classic.
And when I moved to 3, it reminded me too much of Carmageddon.
Dude, 3's my favorite one.
And other other games where you mow people down.
Yeah. Shout out to Carmageddon, by the way.
I mean, like it didn't come across to me as particularly interesting.
I feel that.
But I've had to know the basics because I'm a games professor, and that's what a lot of people do research on.
I think 3 was the last brilliant game in terms of just game design.
That's completely false. The game design of Grand Theft Auto 5 is fucking impeccable, and that's just factual.
I don't think the design is. I think the world is very open, and it makes it feel alive because they have every attention to detail that makes this world feel lived in. It's a perfect satire and parody of LA.
There's not a game I've played where driving feels better than or looks better or just everything about driving.
I'm talking about like how you control the player. So for me, I agree. The sandbox elements of GTA 5 are amazing. It's fun to get lost in that world for a while. But the cool thing about GTA 3 to me was the last time it was like super ambitious is the fact like you can do it however you want. There's a mission where you can eventually try to blow somebody up that steals your car. So I planted the bomb before stealing the mission, and then I was able to blow him up once playing it. Whereas now it's like, all right, follow the yellow line, don't stray off, or mission failed. Then you get there, then walk into this dot, make sure you're perfectly there, equip the right gun. That's why I don't like the story in those games as much. Same why I don't like Red Dead as much. But like, yeah, I think Grand Theft Auto 5, I can get lost in that sandbox and play it.
What I will say though, my favorite part of the Grand Theft Auto series, what really makes it so special to me, is how amazing it is at parroting and mocking pop culture. Like, it is literally so awesome.
Well, who's that writer that just left? Who head of Rockstar
Dan House.
He's
Dan
one
House,
of the best video game writers I think out there. He's hilarious.
I mean, if you love making fun of current pop culture and stuff like that, I mean, Grand Theft Auto 5 is literally just like it's
South
so
Park, pretty much.
funny. It's so funny.
So last question, because we're running out of time a little bit, because Evan's got to get out of here soon. I wanted to, and again, I don't want to. Before I continue, I do like GTA 5. Before I continue, though, before we end it up, I want to ask everyone at the table their top 3 favorite games of all time. And I mean favorite, so we don't have to say best. We don't need to bust out like what we think is the
right.
Because like it's hard to do this because I have like my nostalgic games, which is like they're all Mario Kart and Smash. Then I have like my games that actually are the games I keep coming back to. I mean, I just looked the other day. I'm almost 300 hours in Phantom Pain, and it's like holy shit.
Right.
So, we want to start, Logan?
Yeah, sure. I'll
Top
start
3.
off.
In order.
Number 1 for me is Skyrim. I have invested more time into that game than I could be proud to admit.
Yeah.
Second for me would probably be,
if you don't have a top 3, it's cool.
I would say Madden 08. As bad as it sounds,
go Madden.
Like I don't go back to it now, nowadays. But I mean, when I was a kid, Madden 08, man, Madden 08 is pretty much the game that got me into video games.
That's even
PS2? Into console video games.
Was it on the PlayStation 2?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
I played it.
Yeah. Even though it was a sports game, I mean that game means a lot to me. Third game.
I love that answer. NBA Jam means a lot to me.
Third game, I would probably say. Favorite that I've played would honestly be Outer Worlds, man, because
of all time.
I mean, like, yeah, like seriously, like that was just such a joy for me to play through. I mean, I just absolutely loved every second of playing through Outer Worlds.
Yeah.
It took me back when Obsidian was making games like New Vegas and stuff like that. I mean, it meant a lot to me to be able to play a game like that again because I never thought I would be able to play a game like that again.
What about you, Allison? You got a top 3?
I mean, biggest shock, BioShock 2 is my favorite game ever.
Mm-hmm.
Dead Space is probably my second favorite game, and then my third favorite game is Majora's Mask.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, have you seen Terrible Fate by Ember Lab, the short film they did?
Yeah, you came to class one day. You made me come to school early just to watch that.
Oh,
and
I was
grateful for it
okay,
because it was amazing.
Have you seen that, Evan, by the way? Ember Labs, they do like a CGI rendering of like a prologue to the Majora's Mask
want
game.
more. Like I want like a whole movie.
So well done. I love the lore in that game. It's so dark and creepy.
Yeah.
My top 3 would be Super Mario Galaxy at number 1, Breath of the Wild, and then it's hard to do my number 3. I think Super Smash Bros. Melee is what I'm going to give it to, but I really want to give it to Mario World, but we'll do Melee. So what about you, Emma? Do you have a top 3?
Yeah, you already know. Mine at first is going to be Twilight Princess. I've literally been playing that game for like forever. That's one of the first games I got into. Second, Shadow of the Colossus, because that art style is like what made me be like, okay, I want to start designing stuff for games. Like last year, I was like, amazing, fantastic.
Which one did you play? Was that your first time you played it last year?
The remastered one, yeah. And then I'm trying to think. I'm like torn between a couple, but I want to say again, I really like Fran Bow just because of the art style. Because when I do stuff, I do a lot of like 2D horror kind of games. That's like what I'm into making. So I have a ton of inspiration from that one.
I'm gonna warp the question because I've been talking a lot about favorite games of mine. I'll just talk about my top 3 fighting games. Which
I love it
because I haven't been talking because I do a lot of fighting game play.
We kind of know your top 3 through the conversation already too. Yeah.
Which are
Full Throttle would be one.
Easy. Yeah. Full Throttle, Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah.
And Disco Elysium is up there now. It's very, very, very well crafted.
It really shocked the hell out of me when I played that game. I did not expect to love it so much.
So then that's not another one of those situations where you're a total loser, and so any choice you make is the correct one, right? You woke up drunk and you can't figure out where your left shoe is, and you also are confronting with like multiple histories kind of colliding all at once. So my favorite fighting games are Soul Calibur. on the Dreamcast, Guilty Gear X, and also sort of the X line, and then an SNK game called Last Blade 2, which is a samurai game. These are games that I do just keep coming back to over and over again.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love Soul Calibur.
I'm a big fan of like the fighting game superficiality, where people have these really dramatic faces and dramatic backstories, and they
Dramatic grunts,
and they say really cryptic things like you're trespassing on my harbor, or this shows that our legacy is final, and you're like, what is that? But actually these mysterious things that they shout at each other. I prefer a story than like really explicit story where like here is what's going on.
Me too. Easter egg storytelling so much better, I think.
Lots of just implied, and that's why you're gonna like the Dark Souls series.
I've noticed.
there is no actual story there. There's just lots of implied and environmental storytelling.
Do you like the Neo Geo games, like the Terry's, what is it called, Turbo Fighter and things of that nature? And like,
Samurai Showdown, right?
Yeah.
It was Samurai Showdown and Last Blade 2 are both SNK, so they have similar DNA.
Those are fun.
They have some overlapping characters.
I'm assuming. How do you feel about Mortal Kombat? I fucking hate Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat as a fighting game, I used to play it on the Sega Game Gear. Mortal Kombat 2. I like Jax, but I think overall. Mortal Kombat actually was very cheese or special move focused.
Yeah.
Whereas if you look at Soul Calibur, or I guess I'm embarrassed to say this, Dead or Alive had a very good. Was a good fighting game. In addition to like the fact that if you set your age 99, the breasts popped out of right. They like that. That was a famous old man like booby game. And yet, I actually thought Dead or Alive had absolutely fantastic response, and the controller that Mortal Kombat didn't have, that Killer Instinct didn't have, that Time Killers didn't have. There's a whole like Mortal Kombat clone enterprise that are Eternal Champions. Good God. I mean, I love the character design for Eternal Champions. The moment you start playing it, you want to go gag yourself with a spoon. It's terrible.
A big one nowadays is the DC based one. What is that called?
Injustice.
Well,
it's made with a similar model of Mortal Kombat. I mean, for me, in terms of that kind of fighting, I prefer Street Fighter 2. It's like my favorite out of all those. But like, I like platformer fighters.
The Capcom series. So what you're communicating is you like the Capcom.
Yeah, I like the way they do it better. I was never a Tekken guy, and again, I grew up playing Smash Melee. Smash Melee is what's responsible for me having a passion for video games, because it had so many characters in it that I wanted to know more about, and I played their games. So
yeah, and Smash has a very, I think, smart relationship with video game history that I envy.
Well, Evan, this was fun. I mean, thank you so much for coming.
This was a lot
of
fun,
guys.
man. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
We hope to have you back on again to finish.
There's so
this
much. I have so many more
story.
questions about this wolf game.
Well, I was going to say, we've spent a lot of time on video games. I would say video games are not my expertise. I'm an analog games expert. I specialize in this kind of role-playing.
Love RPGs.
Great.
So we'll get all into
so
it.
much.
So this has been AVHD Podcast. Every Thursday we go live on Bearcast Media. But if you can't tune in live, no problem. You can catch us on YouTube and just search in AVHD Podcast, and then Spotify under AVHD. It should come up for you there. We're also on anchor.fm/AVHD. Thank you guys so much for listening to us. This has been a lot of fun.
Bye.
Bye.